Hi, and welcome to the 15th Masterclass with the MET Orchestra Musicians here at Lessonface, featuring Mariko and Raku. I'm Katie Falk Flores, here with Lessonface, where we connect students with great teachers for live lessons and classes. In this masterclass today, we will have 3 student performance and coaching sessions, followed by a brief Q&A at the end. So please enter any questions you have in the chat box, and we will address them after the performances. With that being said, let's begin. And now Mariko and Raku of the MET Orchestra will coach Natalie Lowe, a student studying with Anne Huan at Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts, who will play selections from the Moldau by Bedřich Smetana, arranged by Hanuš Trinek.
Bravo, Natalie. That was fantastic. Beautiful. Great. And it's only 5 a.m. in Hong Kong, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. You sound great. You obviously love this piece.
Yes.
Yes. And you sound so strong, very passionate and very committed. And, you know, you really brought the music, conveyed the music, expressed all of its glory to us, even through Zoom. So congratulations. Thank you so much for a wonderful performance. So although you already play so wonderfully and so, you know, passionately, and you have such command of the instrument, and it's, you know, hard to comment too much, but I have a few suggestions. So when you are playing this piece, what are you picturing?
I actually picture a lot of different stuff. For example, like there's a part where I think about a rose and some lights, and then some parts are like a baby, and some are like pictures of a feud.
Okay, so depending on the different sections you're playing, you have those images?
Yeah.
Do you know what the Moldau is?
Yeah, from Masterclass. She's like,
What's that?
My country, our motherland.
Right. So that's wonderful. I love your imagery. It always helps, you know, to enhance what we're playing and to get in touch with the essence. And I think it's helpful to have different ideas to help you. So the very beginning section that you played today, I thought it was already very beautiful, very clean, very even. But at the same time, could you maybe make it sound even more flowing, like water?
Okay.
You know? And so just go flow from one chord to the next, and the notes in between, just let it be very light, you know, so that it's flowing just like water. And then when you have the descending and ascending notes, you could really, really, really make it just go smooth and not too much effort. And also, did you know that there's piano and then pianissimo and then again piano and pianissimo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be Zoom, and maybe the difference is not coming through as much. Maybe you are playing the difference, but I think it would be nice. I think if you can exaggerate even more with the dynamic difference as well. So try with even more flow. It's beautifully even, but let's just make it more smooth and flowing. Great, Natalie. So that's already so much more beautiful, more of a gentle, flowing approach. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels more flowing because I kind of picture a river.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the third bar, could you make it even more pianissimo? Did you play it much softer? I don't know,
Yeah.
because
Right.
so, you know, and think of maybe the adjectives like very delicate and crystal, you know, for the third bar when you change the pattern, that might add another dimension. That's it. Great. Great. So just, I think the first time the contrast was very, very beautiful. The second time, I think the delicate part could be even more delicate and crystal and supple. Okay, so we don't have to keep doing this whole section, but if you can keep that in mind, it's already so much more gentle and beautiful. I hope you're enjoying playing it like that too.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, great. Now, yeah. So later on, when you have the bum, 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 you know, in the left hand, when you come
Yes.
with melody, yeah. Can we try there and really think of a long line, a long, long phrase instead of one bar at a time or two bars at a time? Then I think you'll make it sound even more triumphant and majestic. Could you try? Good. Wonderful. You know, I love that. It's so majestic and not too pushed. Before you played really great too, but I think it came on too strong. This way, because you have a long ways to go, and you know it starts with piano too, right?
Yes.
And you have a long way to build. I thought you set that up so gorgeously, because now we're not so excited from right from the beginning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. Just remember and pay attention to, sometimes look back at your music. Obviously, you've been playing this for a while and you know it so well. Sometimes it helps to look at your music again and, remind yourself, okay, what did the composer want? Like, what are his dynamics? What's the visual shape? And anyway, you could do it right away. So it's wonderful. Now, so keep that long line going. Sometimes I noticed that you had some buzzes.
Yes.
And, there are many, many, many notes in this piece. And you play so wonderfully. Could you just be careful that when you place back to the strings, that you go last minute, and then also you aim to the strings very accurately and precisely so that you don't touch the other strings. I'm sure you've thought about it. Do you do some slow practice? Do you know which sections I'm talking about?
Is it like from?
Yeah, there too. So let's try that and be, you know this so well. So pay a little more attention and be really thoughtful and mindful about every note and how you're going back to the strings so that we make it so clean. Wonderful. You play so great. So at the beginning of that section, I know you tried it a few times. Why don't you play the chord, really put everything into the chord, and you don't have to rush to play the scale right away, right? Because the rushing makes you become a little tense, and then it makes the chord sound more harsh than you would like. You want the vigor, but you also want the chord to be very full, right? And resonant. So just take a breath. Okay. Just a little longer. And then I think the chords will resonate much, much more, rich and broad. And then towards the end, when you get lower in the register of the harp, what can we do? What do you think you can do to get rid of the buzzes? Did you hear those buzzes?
Yeah.
So,
I try to put that last minute, but sometimes I don't really aim well, so I'm working on that. And okay. I kind of put my hand lower.
Yeah. Okay. But also, so you said you're working on it, which is wonderful. How do you work on it?
Slow practice.
Okay.
Slow and loud practice.
Yeah, slow, loud. And are you really, really coming back last minute? And are you really zoning in on the strings? Like very precise, accurate placing. Because slow and loud is great, but the way you aim is really important, right? Because if you're aiming with not as much accuracy as you can, it won't be, as clean. Let's try it once. Slow, loud, and really, really accurate placing, aiming. Okay. How about towards the end, right before you finish playing, the lower notes. let's do the slow, accurate practicing there, because that's where the buzzes are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was buzzing or that maybe some acoustic noise right now, but yeah, really, really, really be patient with yourself when you practice that section, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because if you just keep practicing it the same way, then it's going to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know that already, right? Now, again, when you come to the next page and you've got the running notes going up and the E octave in the bass and C octave and then the B flat octave.
Yes.
Yeah, let's really think of a really, really majestic long line starting from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's try that and really let your bass octaves lead the way. And flow from one bar to the next, because we really want to hear a big picture.
Okay.
Beautiful. How did that feel? I love this sort of expansive approach. It really lets us enjoy the music even more. How did it feel for you?
It felt more grand and majestic.
Exactly. Okay, beautiful. Now, the Allegro, the 6/8 Allegro section that you just started, I think you could lay back a little bit. We have another long ways to go till the end. And I think it would be nice if you change the character here a little bit, right? We just came out of this grand, majestic section. So now let's be a little calmer, gentler. What kind of different feeling would you like to portray here?
A bit more flowing instead of like grand and majestic.
Awesome. That's exactly what I would love to hear. So do you want to try that? And again, think of the long line. Let's play till the end. Why don't we play 3 bars before that, the chords, pum, 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 and then really give us that beautiful flowing contrast, okay? And then it's going to really culminate to the end much more beautifully and with enthusiasm and, conviction. Great. I thought that was nice. Can you try once more the same section? You don't have to do the chords. leading into the last section. Can you make the hairpins, the crescendo, diminuendos, even more gradually? I really love how effective your crescendo and diminuendo is, but I feel like in order for us to make a more flowing impression, like you said, I think it would be nice if you approach the crescendo less like sharply, like not such a sudden climb, but a more expansive, spacious crescendo and diminuendo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, so after those pattern, when you come to the last, 10 bars, you know how you have the E flat octave 1, 2 times, and then into the chords, to the bigger chords. Could you be more weighty? Like, when you play the E flat octave, don't accent them, but sink into them. Okay, so let's try once more. Bravo, beautiful. So, I mean, you already play this extremely, extremely well. So if you can maybe think about some of the things we talked about today and think about the different colors, different pictures, different energies, and think about the big, big lines, the big picture. Okay?
Okay.
But wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a fantastic job, Natalie. Thank you so much for playing for us today. And now, Mariko Andraku of the MET Orchestra will coach Valerie Sim of Hong Kong, studying at the Harp Chamber with Miss Dan Yu, who will play Pièce Symphonique by Henriette Renier.
Wonderful, wonderful, great. It's a huge piece. Have you been playing it for a while?
Yeah, but I recently picked it up.
Oh, you just brought it back?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you seem very comfortable and very at one with it, and enjoying really playing it, right? Even up so early in the morning. So I think we all enjoyed your performance. Very strong, again, passionate, and with such glory. And so thank you. I just wonder if you have to play, with so much energy all the time, right? There are so many different sections to this work. And I think it would be really, really interesting, and it would make it even more fun to play if you differentiate between the different sections and really bring out the essence of what each section is trying to tell us, through the music. So do you want to try? Like, I know you're not playing the whole piece, but for instance, the very beginning of where you started, what are you trying to tell us by your playing?
I think at least the way I processed Renee's piece was that it was divided into 3 episodes of her grief and how she deals with her loss of her, I think it was cousin. So I think the second part, like the first part I was playing, the second part of the whole piece was probably more rage, or her, the fact that she is kind of battling with this tumultuous range of emotion. And then this last part is kind of her acceptance towards her loss. But maybe she was too angry in my version. I don't know.
Right. So it's human emotions that we all experience, right? And there's so many subtleties, and there's so many degrees, so many layers of what we feel. And so I think in our playing too, if we can show that through different colors, timing, not just plain, dynamics, but you can really help it with breathing in different places, right? Taking more time, give and take, and what kind of colors can you bring? So, and I think it could be the Zoom, but I think that you could exaggerate and show a lot more and make many more differences in the nuances. Would you agree? Yeah. So let's start. Okay. Yeah. Let's start at the Appassionata on page 6. Valerie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Fantastic, great. So I think already this time, you were a little more objective. Did you feel that way? Yeah, I think it's really important. Already in the 2 pages that you played, there's so much you can do, right? And so if you're really objective to what's going on, like even the first 10 bars or 12 bars, right? You can make let's play the first 7 bars and then really make a huge impact of difference when the accelerando comes. I think you can play, you're playing so great, but I think you can play less inner notes. It could be the Zoom reception, but really sing the melody. And then when you get to the 8th bar, shift your character. And then what does it say? It says più tranquillo. Are you playing più tranquillo on piano there?
No, not really.
You're laughing. You're not, right? You could do a lot more, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, first thing we can do is really follow what the composer writes, because they usually are very clear with their instructions, So let's first start there. Let's really be authentic with what she writes here. Valerie, great. Wow, page 6 was so beautiful. That was like a complete transformation. How did it feel to play what the composer asked?
A lot better. Yeah.
Yeah. And the music came through more easily, and we could really actually hear what was going on. And I think you could express better too, couldn't you? I think so. I mean, it was so much better. We really heard it. We heard the music. Now on page 7, what dynamic does it start at the più mosso? Oh, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. Did you say mezzo forte? Yeah. I think you started at forte, or you started louder than I think maybe you should have, because then you had nowhere to go. I think it would be more exciting if you started just a little less, and maybe a little more expansive, and then you can get more and more excited as the passage builds, right? And then finally those double forte chords. You know what I mean? We got to build it. Let's look at the whole big page objectively and build. And then really come down. Did you really come down to a double piano pianissimo at the bottom?
Not enough.
Right. Okay, so let's do that page again. And if you need to, just look at the music and let's look at it objectively, because when you did that with page 6, it was fantastic. Valerie, I don't know, it's hard to tell, but Valerie, that was wonderful. Wow. We really heard the story there. Didn't it feel better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody who's listening to you probably feels the same. We have a much clearer picture now. And all you did was just actually follow what what she wrote, right?
Yeah.
And you were just more objective. Beautiful. Yeah, I think that your pianissimo could be softer, but it could be Zoom, because I know that sometimes with my students too, I would keep saying play softer, but then they were actually playing soft. So you be the judge of that. You don't have to ask me. You have good ears. So right? So let's start there and go ahead, and again, let's continue and stay very objective and really bring out the essence of each section, each bar, each note. Okay? Valerie, wow, that was gorgeous. Really, really, wow, beautiful. Didn't it feel good to play that way?
Yeah, much better than before.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to push so hard. It's gorgeous, especially here, just meltingly beautiful music, right? Um, I don't know, it's probably Zoom, but I thought your gliss, the 4 pianos, could be even more just very, very subtle and soft, just like a breeze. But you know better. It's might be coming across much louder than you're actually playing. Now, the Allegro agitato. I felt like you suddenly got going too soon, too much. Did you feel the same, or?
I did in the middle of playing it.
Yeah. So again, it only starts with a piano, and then there's a little crescendo in the second bar. Don't get too excited too soon. Let's save it. There's a nice long, it's 6 bars. So can you balance the crescendo and agitato through the 6 bars and that accelerando? You don't want to just suddenly get all excited, because then there's nowhere to go again. Okay? So can you start from there? Yeah, that's good.
Much better? Okay.
Yeah, I think that time you were doing 4 pianos, weren't you?
Sorry, can I start that again?
Yeah, but that's the picture. It's so much better. Before, you were getting lost in like the agitato from the first bar. And the glisses were gorgeous. I think probably in person, it probably just sounds perfect. Okay. I was, then it makes sense, this appassionato, it's so much better. So let's go on with the same approach. Just don't get too excited and don't play too hard. You play so well, you don't have to try hard, okay? Let's focus on the music making here. Valerie, great playing. But what can we do about all the buzzing? Do you hear your buzzes?
Yeah, I do hear it.
So, yeah. And I thought your build-up was much more objective and in line this time, but I still think that you could withhold a little more, you know, and give a lot more towards the end. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and the buzzing, yeah, you'll have to, you know, practice, but don't ignore your buzzes because you play too well. You don't, and the buzzes really just get in the way. And even though you're playing beautifully, unfortunately, it really disrupts the music. So we can go on now, but you know, you can think about that section again when you practice. Let's go on. Great. Okay, great. I think your piano might be the Zoom, but I think your piano could be softer at the beginning, like lighter touch. Does that make sense? Because it's vivo and you just want to play it very detailed but light, right? And then the contrast with the crescendo into the forte section would be even more fantastic, right? And then you keep going with the crescendo. So you don't have to do that right now. But again, look at that big picture from the beginning of that tempo vivo until this little cadenza. You really want to make an impact. So you got to, what?
Could I have some advice on the clarity, like how to make it clearer and softer?
You know, when you practice slowly, I would go back and place very last minute. You know, played very, very last minute. I'm sure you're teaching, I'm sure Dan tells you that too. And, you know, don't go away from the strings too much. Okay, but you got to do just very slow, patient practice to do that. I'm sure if you do it diligently every day for a while, it's going to clear up. Okay, but very accurate and last minute replacing. Okay, now where you just stopped, those octaves, what are you imagining there? Like what kind of sound do you want to produce?
Some sort of, I mean, I don't know how to produce it in sound, but maybe she gets some sort of realization at that point.
Okay, yeah, so that's great. But it's interesting that you said you don't know what kind of sound to produce. So let's figure out what kind of sound you want to produce, because unless you don't know, I mean, unless you know, you won't know how to approach the harp, right? So you feel like she realized something there?
Yeah, maybe it could be more legato and kind of broader.
Excellent. That's what I love it that you thought of that. So broad, warm, beautiful, rich tone. So, you know, don't be in a hurry. Just enjoy it. But think of those things, because otherwise, you know, it's great you had that idea, but you really want to express it through the kind of tone that we just talked about. So let's do that. So much nicer. Yeah. Isn't it more fun to play it that way?
Yeah. Should I do separate left hand, right hand, or octaves?
You could finger it and sing it. Or you can do, I mean, I thought the way you played it now was so much better because you thought about it, you know? Yeah. You could experiment. Everybody has their own interpretation, but think of what we just spoke about. Now, do you really want to come out and play that last chord the way you did? Especially after playing all the octaves so beautifully?
A bit softer.
Yeah, maybe gentler and warmer. What do you think? Yeah. You have plenty of time and other places to play the chords, you know, in that other fantastic way, right? Okay, so let's go from there. Let's continue. So Valerie, maybe those few bars there, I imagine more like a dreamy, you know, section there. How about you?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so we don't have to do it now because I don't think we have many minutes left, but you know, really bring out a more dreamy feeling there, okay? And then let's go on to the next section, the tracham. And really, again, be objective. Look at the music if you need to see what she wrote, you know, and let's sing and play the most lyrical and beautiful you can. And gentle. Beautiful. That was gorgeous. Wasn't that nice?
Yeah.
How did you enjoy that much more?
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Wow. Now, just be careful with all the buzzes. Did you hear them?
Yeah, I did.
But the way you carried the line was just absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, enjoy and give yourself space and time and breathe and sing like that. That was glorious. Okay. And then, yeah, it's too bad you played too well. So get rid of those buzzes. You know, really listen and don't be happy. Don't be satisfied, even if you hear a few buzzes. Just really work to clear everything up because yeah, you play very, very beautifully, and it's too bad if the buzzes get in the way. But thank you so much. I think we did great work in this short time, and just you know, honor each section, and even within sections. I think we clarified a lot of things, and just stay objective. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bravo. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job, Valerie. Thank you so much for playing for us today. And in our third spot today, we will have Mariko Andraku of the MET Orchestra will coach Layla Hudson, a student at Princeton University studying with Nancy Allen, who played Dans Sacré by Claude Debussy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Layla. So such a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And you play it very pretty, very nice. I feel like you have a great energy, great sense for it. Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful music that we can play. And we're so lucky to have this piece in our repertoire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and bravo, because I know you're playing on your friend's harp today, right? And still,
Beautiful harp, though. Beautiful.
what?
It's a beautiful harp. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. And, you know, even though it's not your own, you made it sound great. So bravo for that too, because that's always a little nerve-wracking. So, yeah, like I said, I feel like you have a really great sensitivity and great energy for this movement, the dance. But generally speaking, I felt like you could be more consistent with your rhythm and, you know, tempi. I'm not sure if you're hearing like the orchestra part,
At
the
part,
string.
yeah, maybe not throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so let's start at the beginning. So, and keep a general pulse. You don't want to play like a robot, but you know, you really want to keep the big pulse inside of you. So can we start again? And if you can imagine, like, I don't know if you have a score, but when the basses play, when the Chilean basses play, you want to let them play and not, you know, jump in.
Okay.
So let's, yeah. Layla, already there, you came in a beat early. Did you know that?
Shoot, yes.
Yeah, so it's da 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 da, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Do you have the music there?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try, and you know, the basses play on that. So if you really know the how, you know, the orchestra is playing or the string quartet, you will hear that and you'll wait. Let's try again. That's it. Yeah, it might have, what?
Yeah, I see. I see.
Yeah, it might have felt a little awkward because you're used to kind of playing it a little ahead of the, right, beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you don't have to be like very, very strict, but you really want to keep, you know, the general 3, okay, going. Okay. Now, the other thing I love to suggest in the very beginning is you really want to have delicate touch, which you do, but maybe even more so. Like, what are you imagining here?
Just like gracefully coming in, merging with the orchestra.
Okay. And what kind of colors or tones, feelings, atmosphere would you like to create?
Warmth, but like mysteriousness in a way.
Yeah. Okay. And I think you are getting that, but I think the mysteriousness, maybe you could get that even more. So do you want to try again? And the other thing I'd like to remark is there are a lot of, he's very specific with his dynamics, like hairpins, and then subito piano, pianissimo, staccato, right? It's like the typical famous Debussy thing to do a big, crescendo and then subito. Can we show that even more?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I didn't count right, but.
Okay, so Leila, beautiful. That was really gorgeous. I love how you set that mood and the tone. Beautiful. And you're so calm. I would love to hear, though, even more subito piano in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th bar.
Okay.
And then even more gorgeous diminuendo into the pianissimo bar. And really delicate and pianissimo, something very different there, don't you think?
Yeah. Okay.
It's amazing, even through Zoom, everything's coming through very beautifully and sensitively. So can we maybe start from the 4th bar so that we could, I could hear your subito P and then the beautiful diminuendo into the pianissimo? Okay. Beautiful. So, keep experimenting with all that. You already sound really beautiful, but, even more to bring beautiful, beautiful colors and the atmosphere that Debussy creates so, exquisitely. Just keep playing around with it. You already have a great energy. Now, right there, the E flat major chord, do you know you always rush into it?
Yes, I've had the tendency to do that.
So I think a lot of us do that because we want to start this new section, right? And we're anticipating it. But let's, finish what's been going on first and then wake up, but not, let's not kill the surprise,
Yeah.
right? So, da, 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 bum, instead of da, 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 dum, bum. I'm exaggerating, but okay.
Yeah.
Not give it away. Okay, so let's start there. Maybe one bar before so you can show us the transition. Okay, so great. That transition worked well. Maybe you took a little too much time, but again, it's something you need to experiment and practice, explore and just get the right timing. But I think you know what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, and right there as well. So 3rd bar after that, it would be really great if you do a splash and then subito pianissimo. You know, ba da 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 dum. So you could even wait, you know, just a tiny bit, give a little timing, and pianissimo. We don't have to do it again. And you can really flow beautifully into the next, you know, the third bar after that. Now, how about these big, lush chords?
Yes.
You played them very big. I think they could be much more rich and rounder and full, lush. And what's happening with your bass? I heard a lot of
Yeah, these are more wiry. Like they're different from my harp. So I normally do different muffling, but like it kind of gets in the way. I don't know if I should.
Okay, I understand it's hard to play on a different harp, but you know, you can brush the bass.
That's what I normally do. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So but how about coming up with just the right energy here of this suddenly after this whole first page, you know, you blossom, right?
Yeah.
So can you give us this this huge blossom? You know what would help? You know what would help? It's, you know, more frustrating over Zoom, but really bringing in every finger, play every finger and give your all, like your warm, gentle love. And try to go to the, especially, you know, your right hand, da 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 bum. Even a chord is a phrase, right? So the F, B flat, D, F. Play that like as if it's a phrase. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Do you know what I mean? And then the same with the C major chord. G, G, C, E, G is like a line. Don't think of it as a vertical chord, but as a beautiful passage. And maybe that'll help you phrase. Yeah, that's really coming. But then we really need to bring out the top note, right? Without accenting. Right now, I think I love the inner notes now. I loved how they flow up to the top, but then I don't hear the top notes as well. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. And remember, there's a diminuendo molto there. So you don't have to do that now. But now let's go on to, so the next section, son l'entour. You didn't do that, but I felt like you got too fast too soon. Was that intentional?
No.
Okay, so let's go from, okay, we might as well play so we can hear that transition into that section. Keep it, you know, relative to what's happening before. And we have plenty of time to do the pu, you know, animon pure pu after.
Okay.
So I think this next section is a very serene, still, gorgeous section. Yeah, that's nice. I think that's beautiful. That felt okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier you played it much faster, but this is much more beautiful. Sorry to stop you, but I also just wanted to say that, you know, 4 bars before that, when you have the da dum ba dum ba, do you see the slur marks?
Yes.
Yeah. So, everybody plays differently, but I like to connect those so that they sound actually like ba-dum, ba, instead of bum, bum, bum. But it's just, everybody's different, but I just wanted to let you know that that's there.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go on from da 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 da. It's gorgeous how you got into that. Hey, beautiful, beautiful. I loved how you, built up through that whole section. Have you ever recorded yourself playing this?
Yes.
I mean, I guess you did because you must have. Did you submit this for the?
Oh no, I did not. But I sent it to Nancy earlier.
Okay, because I don't know. I don't get to listen to the audition videos, so yeah. But, record yourself because I love the overall big line, the big picture that you bring out here, but you're really leaning on the first beat a lot, and then you do it so much that it sounds like hiccups, kind of, like just to exaggerate. So I think we would probably want a more smooth, you know, um, carry out of the whole section. So record yourself. You might not do it after we talk about it now, and but I think that it's okay once in a while to stress on the first beat. That's nice, but not every time, or not every other bar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So let's try, and I would love to hear more. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 after rehearsal number 1. When you start playing the octaves, da, 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 right away, I would love to hear the octaves, especially the thumb, not punched out or accented, but with care. How do you practice that?
I usually just do right hand alone and do. And there's also a blister that might be.
Oh,
Too.
where's
Sounds a little weird.
what? Where's your blister?
Fourth finger.
Okay. Did you suddenly practice this week?
Yeah, one of the etudes really did it.
Well, all right. So, but that doesn't really relate to what I was thinking because I want to hear more of your thumb. And yeah, it helps if you can play more of your fourth finger to support it so that the thumb doesn't end up sounding. Yeah. Okay, so but put more care into your thumb then. I mean, sometimes we do get blisters or like calluses that we don't want, but we still have to perform, and then we have to find a way to make things expressive no matter what. So, okay, I like that you practice it that way, but could you do it with even more care? Because when you practice it slow, you might as well really practice with all your heart into it, right? So let's hear how you would practice and really bring those notes out beautifully. Okay, so do you hear how you're stressing so much on the da, 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 da?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, we want to do that sometimes, but not every time, because then otherwise it just becomes like repetitive, right? Yeah, that's good. It's hard to judge over Zoom, but just, when you practice it, really practice with care and bring your thumb all the way over and support with your fourth finger. The inner notes are really important too to deliver those half notes across, right? So you really want to think of the interval in between each da 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 da, right? You don't want to just play it as like 4 3 2 1, but really, 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 really loving every interval there, right? To connect between the half notes. Yeah, I have a specific way I like to practice that, but I think we're getting a little bit close to the end time. So I could send it to you another time. So just keep thinking of the big picture and keeping everything even and objective, like I was telling, was it Valerie? Yeah. Yeah, so let's go on to the chords. If it's too hard for you to start there, you could get into it.
I can start there.
Okay, beautiful. Again, I love the general feel you have for this movement. I think you can make every bar flow more. I know this is a particularly hard section, but practice so that you can make every bar flow to the next, right? And in some cases, you can take some time, but not every bar. I think you were doing it maybe every other bar,
Yeah.
but that's why I was saying, do you practice and record yourself and listen to yourself? Because that's the easiest answer, but I feel like you have a really beautiful wash and color for this movement. Now, again, rhythmically, the end, you were kind of fluctuating just the way you wanted. So can we just go from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 before the end. And really keep the pulse. So let's start before that because it's hard to gauge what the rhythm's going to be. And you were already a little off. Let's go from bum, 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 bum.
Okay.
Don't rush. Did you know you were rushing? It's 1 and 2 and so keep 1 and 2 and. Oh, sorry. I was counting with you. So make sure that, and here, if you can hear the orchestra part, you would hear the pits, bum, bum. Can you imagine what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let's do the last one. And because the last 4 bars, it says retenue, but you actually you did a accelerando and you really rushed through those. So let's do the 5th from the end. Yeah. you know, you're totally speeding it up.
The very last, the like fifth bar?
The last four, no, just what you got into.
Oh.
That's dotted half note. So your tempo was 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? So one,
Yeah, I see now. Yeah.
okay. You know how you were like way faster?
Yeah.
Yeah. So great. Wonderful work, and you already play with such a beautiful feeling for this movement. And so I hope you keep enjoying, working on it, and the second dance too.
Yes, can't wait.
Yeah, are you gonna start learning it soon?
Yeah, I've started a little.
Okay, great. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful music.
Thank you for your time. This is very nice of you.
Yes, thank you so much, Layla. That was fantastic job today. So we have just a few minutes to wrap up today. If anyone has any questions for Mariko, please put them in the chat right now or in the Q&A, and I will be asking her them. So it looks like we actually have a first one here, and that is not related to the master class, but to life as a musician and a harpist. So in what piece would you choose to study in order to return to playing after a long period of pause from playing? So you haven't been playing for a while and you need to choose a piece to start again.
Okay, so when you've had a pause, and what's a great piece to start back with? Um, well, any piece is great, but how about something like the Foray Impromptu? And, there's so much versatility in that piece, and also, different aspects of technical work that you can do. So,
Wonderful, thank you. So here's another question that I actually have for you, and this may be from my lack of knowledge about the harp, but what do you do specifically for warm-ups? Are there things that you recommend?
I do a whole set of warm-up exercises, starting with scales, different chords, different chord patterns, octaves, broken octaves, trills, and like different speeds, and thirds with different combinations, arpeggios of different, all assortment of arpeggios, and yeah,
So everything.
yeah. Feels so great if I have the time to do all of them, every day.
Right. Okay, so here we have another question on what's your biggest pet peeve as a harpist?
I don't know.
Nothing that composers do or the rest of the ensemble.
Yeah. What about you for as a composer?
I'm intimidated by the harp. I'm very intimidated by the harp. I would like to not be, but it's just I have such little knowledge about actually writing for the harp. I really need to go study these scores and see what Debussy and Renier and everybody has done. That way I can really learn from them.
That's true. Well, yeah, I could say the same for composers too. I mean, I don't understand where you start. And I think it's just, so inspiring to just come out of nothing to, yeah, I wish I could do that. I mean, there are great, jazz and improv harpists that I really look up to and inspire. They're so inspiring.
Okay, here is a last question here. Any suggestions for young harpists to get into the harp world?
First, it's really great if you keep in touch with all your friends, all your teachers, and, just like, I mean, without even thinking about it, just stay in touch with your friends and just, have nice relationships and not necessarily thinking about jobs and whatnot in the future. But, the more harpist friends you have, you never know. So many, connections can lead you to so many different things. I think teaching is also wonderful. It's a way to nurture yourself as you teach. And again, you know, you meet many people that way too. So, but I think the most important thing is to just, meet lots of people, be open, and stay in touch with all your colleagues or friends.
So
And
about being a good person as much as anything else, just community connection.
community connection, and not just your harp friends, but all musicians, because you also play chamber music, orchestra, and you never know. I mean, I think I saw some of my friends from many years ago and the attendees, and it's so nice. We all keep in touch. We might not be able to keep in touch as much as we like to because we're all, busy with our lives. But yeah, I think I saw Kirsten's name and Gillian, and we've been friends for, maybe we shouldn't say how many years, but
Thank you again to Mariko for all of your coaching today. That was incredibly helpful and wonderful to sit on. And thank you so much to our performers. And thank you all for joining today. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and that you stay well and that you'll tune in for the next MET Masterclass. Thank you for your time.